Hey pen pals, welcome to Writing Craft Masterclass. Here on this channel, I work to find, synthesize, and share creative writing advice to help authors of all skill levels take their writing to the next level. So, if you're looking to refine your craft, then you're in the right place. In this video, we will be discussing the popular writing advice, show, don't tell. This famous piece of writing advice has been shared by famous writers such as Anton Chekhov, Stephen King, and Richard Price. I wouldn't be surprised if you've heard of this advice before, since it's often some of the first advice new authors learn. However, as a member of the creative writing community, I have noticed that some authors take this advice too literally and tend to show and never tell. This is problematic because you end up with really long stories full of flowery prose that can be hard to get through and turn readers away. This inspired me to make this video using examples of my own writing to show how you can strike a balance between showing and telling to create a well-rounded manuscript that includes both beautiful prose and good pacing. I'll be first discussing how and when to show your story to readers, how and when to tell your story to readers, then summarizing how you can discern when to show and when to tell. Let's go over the first part of this advice and discuss how you can show your readers your story. The famous author Richard Price once said, "You don't write about the horrors of war, no, you write about a kid's burnt socks lying in the road." This is a good example of showing versus telling, with Price giving us an example of both. Showing is when you use symbols, metaphors, sensory imagery, and other literary devices to help readers empathize and feel the emotions of your characters. This is important because readers will all have different backgrounds that affect how they interpret the material you write. Additionally, emotions like sadness can be felt in varying ways, so writing "she was sad" could mean different things to different readers. It is also helpful when describing a situation readers may have never encountered. Your readers won't know what it feels like to be a member of a fantasy alien race who has crash-landed on an unfamiliar planet, but they will be familiar with the feelings of anxiety, isolation, and otherness, which can help them understand and relate to your characters. So let's now try to apply the show principle to a piece of information that we may want to include in a story. Let's say you want to tell your readers that a character's hair is long. First, you must consider why this information is important to readers, as in, what does this piece of information add to the character development, tone, or overall plot? Using our example, let's say we're writing a horror novel and we want to describe the appearance of a ghost, and the long hair is to add to the eerie tone of the scene. We could write the following. Pond scum and muddy water drenched the pale woman. Sheer white cloth clung to her corpse-like skin. Her long, dark hair hung almost to her feet, oozing dark water onto the cold tile below. Pay attention to the use of sensory imagery in this passage, as we mention sheer cloth, her corpse-like skin, and the cold tile, and how she oozes dark water. This is much more vivid and descriptive than telling readers there was a ghost with long hair who appeared to be dripping water. This example invites readers into the scary setting and helps them imagine more vividly what the protagonist is seeing and might be feeling. We could also take this example a completely different direction. Maybe a character's long hair could give readers a glimpse into a character's past experiences and current mental state, such as in this example. She got low to the ground and snarled, her eyes wild. Long hair thick with mats of blood and dirt clung to the old, still open wounds on her shoulder. She didn't even look human anymore. Instead of telling readers directly about this character's past traumas, this example invites readers to imagine what could have happened to this character to cause her to be in such a state. In both examples, the detail of a character's hair length is minor, but adds to the overall scene to reach the goal of each passage. The goal could be to develop a character, set a scene, create a specific tone, or to advance the plot. But as a writer, you need to be careful that you aren't unnecessarily using this style of writing in situations where it doesn't add anything meaningful to the plot. If a piece of information doesn't add anything meaningful, it's better to directly tell readers. Now let's look at the second half of the advice and discuss how and when you could tell your readers certain information. Telling is better used in situations where it makes sense to share information quickly. This could be to create a sense of urgency, describe a minor character, to provide factual information, or when summarizing an event. Telling is when you choose brevity over style for the sake of pacing. To demonstrate an example of why telling is sometimes better than showing, I want to show two examples of writing from the same scene. The first example will focus more on showing, while the second will focus more on telling. I sit on the hard plastic chair outside of my mother's hospital room. I feel hot sweat on my brow as my heart beats fast. My hands twitch nervously, playing with the zipper on my warm wool sweater. I close my eyes and pray internally. I need her to be okay. I need her. God, please. My prayer is cut short as a stout, round woman, my mother's doctor, leaves the room behind me. Her black hair tied tightly into a bun with a bright red elastic matching the red pointed glasses on her face. She looks down at her clipboard, her lips tight, pursed. She begins speaking in a deep voice, but tears fall from my eyes before she can finish. I'm sorry, sir. In this example, I use an excessive amount of description for each aspect of the passage. Instead of saying that the character is anxious, I describe his body language and functions. I also describe the doctor in great detail. In reality, these details aren't needed. What's wrong with this passage is that I'm showing for the sake of showing. I'm not furthering any particular goal of the passage. More specifically, the color of the doctor's glasses do not add to the tone or the overall plot. You could argue it develops her character, but why develop a character who exists only for one scene? You could also argue that describing the protagonist's mannerisms helps set the tone, but I'd argue it's not doing so meaningfully since the description of the anxious mannerisms are excessive and aren't needed to understand how the character's feeling. With that in mind, let's see how the scene could look if we were telling in this example. I wait outside my mother's hospital room, anxious to get the results. I need her to be okay. I need her. God, please. My prayer is interrupted as her doctor leaves the room, clipboard in hand with a serious look on her face. The first words she speaks say everything I need to know. I'm sorry, sir. This example is much more brief and to the point. It tells readers all the information they need in order to understand what's happening in this scene. While it may seem too brief to some, this passage wouldn't exist in isolation. The time for showing would come right after this passage as the protagonist reacts to the bad news, not as he's waiting to receive it. The brief description of events also adds to the clinical feeling of a hospital and makes the news seem more sudden and impactful. Since some of you watching this may disagree and believe the first example was better, I want a moment to say that it's fine if you disagree with me. We're all writers with their own styles, preferences, and experiences. With that in mind, it's still important to review your writing and ask yourself what each choice adds to the story. What truly sets an experienced author apart from a novice writer is the ability to craft each word, sentence, paragraph, and section into a greater whole that engages the readers and tells the story you want it to tell. Part of being able to do this is striking a fair balance between style and brevity, and knowing when and where to use each. Okay, I'm going to use the final section of this video today to give you guys a high-level summary of when to use each technique. You can refer back to this part like a cheat sheet if you need. That being said, I encourage you not to follow these rules too rigidly. Creative writing should be fun and freeing. While it's true this advice can help you take your writing to the next level, not every piece of advice will fit in every situation. Being an experienced author means knowing when and where to use certain concepts and devices. While it's good to strike a balance between showing and telling, sometimes the scale can be weighed more towards one than the other, depending on what you're writing. With all that being said, let's quickly summarize everything you need to know about showing versus telling. What is showing? It's when you use symbols, metaphors, sensory imagery, and other literary devices to help readers empathize and feel the emotions of your characters. How to show and not tell? You spend more time indirectly describing while avoiding being too direct so that readers can infer and interpret the scene in their own way. Why show and not tell? Because it can be more engaging for readers as it invites them to feel what your characters are feeling and empathize. When to show and not tell? Showing is best used to develop a character, set a scene, create a specific tone, or to advance the plot. What is telling? Telling is when you choose brevity over style for the sake of pacing. How to tell and not show? You spend less time on descriptions, convey information at a faster rate, and directly give readers information instead of allowing them to infer it. Why tell and not show? Because it allows for more time to be spent on the most impactful parts of your story, gives readers a break from intense moments, and can create a sense of urgency in certain situations. When to tell and not show? Telling is best used to create a sense of urgency, describe a minor character, provide factual information, or when summarizing an event. As always, I like to end my videos by giving you guys a writing prompt. Advice is great, but nothing will improve your writing more than practicing and applying what you learn. Today's prompt is, describe the following scene in two different ways, first by showing and not telling, and second by telling and not showing. The scene, a character brings their significant other to dinner to propose and it doesn't go as planned. Reflect on the differences and what each version does best. I hope this video helped. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment below with your response to the writing prompt or if you have any ideas for more videos. Next week we'll be discussing how to use dialogue effectively, with more videos to come in the future. So make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. Also give this video a like if you enjoyed it or if you think you might need a refresher in the future. Keep on writing and I'll see you next week. Signing off, WCMC.